Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me for another installment of the Steam Shuffle. And today we are taking a look at Evoland 2, the sequel to the game developed and published by Shiro Games quite some time ago, wherein you go through the different tropes that have made RPGs successful, or at least the graphical fidelity, the gameplay elements, and so on and so forth. This game was released on August 25th, 2015, and I didn't realize it was out yet because I've actually been looking forward to it. I played the first Evoland and completed it. It wasn't a very long game. It was only about an hour, maybe 90 minutes long, but I beat it no problem. Let's take a quick peek at the options here because I was impressed that, one, there are 3 different language locales here, so there's that. If you speak French or German, this game will accommodate your wishes. Completely rebindable controls. I'm not going to go through them, but it asks you to push whichever button you want to be moving or action or whatever. There's only about 7 buttons. And then graphics. There's a few graphics options, although granted they're kind of not really necessary for the first couple hours of the game because it's 8-bit or 16-bit, so doesn't really affect much. But later on there will be 3D models and you can tinker with a couple of things in there, and of course your sound options, which by the way doesn't have a sound bar slider, fixed numbers, whatever. I guess you can deal with it. So I put a bit of time in this. I'm about 4 hours in, as you can see right there, and I have enjoyed my time quite a bit thus far. Although I will say some of it has been padded out by some particularly difficult, at least in my opinion, difficult puzzles that I had to solve. But there's been a reasonable pacing so far of puzzles and combat. So we're going to get right into it here. I apologize if I spoil anything. This one, unlike its predecessor, actually does have a story to it, and a fairly decent story at that. You know, it's not going to win any awards for story writing, but it's kept me gripped enough to keep playing, so we'll go with that. So as you can see right now, this is a 3D rendered environment. When you start out, the base tutorial is actually monochrome Game Boy style, and then you go to 16-bit era, and then you backtrack to 8-bit era, and now at this point I'm in the 3D rendering, as you see here. Combat is pretty basic. It's going to be very reminiscent of Legend of Zelda minus the tools or Secrets of Mana, in which you just attack the enemies as they appear. I have not run across turn-based battles yet. However, the original did introduce them later on into the game, so they may be in here. It may become turn-based at some point. If I watched the trailer, I did see even a fighting game genre as well as a bullet hell shoot-'em-up style gameplay element as well. So it depends. It depends on what part of the world you're in, what's going on at the time, because the combat changes, the graphics change. There has been a couple of portions that I've actually been a 2D side-scrolling platformer as well. So at the moment, I am jumping on a boat here that I had to pass a series of tests in order to find an item in order to give it to a guy so he could give me safe passage. So that was fun. But 4 hours in, I'm still exploring quite a bit, and I bet you anything there's still quite a few more hours to go if the story is telling me anything. This time around, let me back up a little bit. So the original Evoland was simply a progression of graphical fidelity as well as combat abilities, and kind of took you through the evolution of RPGs as a whole. This one actually incorporates those changes into the story itself. When you start out in the 16-bit era, you actually are transported back in time, and when you do that, that is why it's 8-bit. And at this point, we're actually in the future of what our characters know as the present, and that's why the graphics look the way they do. So the time travel element is how they explain why things changes, and the characters themselves actually comment on the changes also. They're like, oh, I feel funny, or I have more volume, and things like that. So it's pretty entertaining. There's a lot of people to talk to. There's quite a few references to various things. The funniest one I've seen so far was the one that the first rule about the Royal Guard is you don't talk about the Royal Guard. The second rule about the Royal Guard is, of course, you don't talk about the Royal Guard. and don't even ask me about Rule 34. So I chuckle quite a bit. There's quite a bit of humor in this. A very well-placed humor, I might add. I found myself grinning and giggling a few times. Much more than most games that I've played here recently. But that would probably be because the other games, this one's not trying to eat me yet. So there's that. Right now, I'm just kind of moseying around and checking these folks out here real quick. We're about to jump on a boat to go to the Cursed Isle, where hopefully it'll throw us into a dungeon that I can kind of show off the combat rather, and some of the way the game's played out, which at this point it's very, very similar to A Link to the Past in terms of puzzle solving and combat, minus like your extra items. You do, however, get to use your two companions. Well, at least I have only two of them right now. And the way you do that is you simply charge your attack up, and they come down and do their special. That can be used to clear obstacles and solve puzzles, as well as to damage enemies. The other one is this chick right here. She shoots that thing out like that. This guy can actually be charged to level 2, comes down and does a lot bigger hit. I had to use that to clear out a boulder. And they kind of have like a Metroidvania feel to that. In a sense, it's more of it's not quite as open-ended. It is more linear. But for instance, that level 2 power that I just used, once I got that, I could clear out a giant boulder that was blocking a bridge so I could get across and continue on. However, that was pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it wasn't like I had to figure out exactly how to do it. Like it pretty much walked me to that point. It wasn't difficult to figure out. Alright, so well, F it. Don't say I didn't warn you. I got a bad feeling about this trip. Alright, Cap. Let's jump onto the boat and we're going to the Cursed Isle. Yep, it's your lucky day. Alright, so I want to get into it here a little bit so I can show this off, but it's taking a sec. It's, like I said, it's reasonably paced from what I've played so far. Some of the puzzle elements, the one I just did, that took me a good hour, maybe hour and a half, maybe because I'm just poor at puzzles of that design. But if that's something that really bugs you, I'm sure there's a walkthrough out there somewhere that can get you through that bit so you can continue the combat portion of the game. The original Evoland, I don't believe it had party members at all. I'm pretty sure it didn't, but this one does, and they actually do develop their character. They have quite a few conversations. Granted, there's not a whole lot, but I do like the demon guy, though I don't want to spoil the story too much, but he's very conflicted with, he wants to change the past because his people are no more. And the other chick doesn't really want to go through with that. She's just worried about our village that's no longer there. And so there's the conundrum of, should we change it or leave it the same? Can we change it at all? Has this happened? So they don't get too heavy into the time travel portion. In fact, at that point, the one gal just said, this is making my head hurt. I don't even want to think about it. Let's just do what we can. So that's kind of a way to just avoid the question entirely. Yeah, I thought it was pretty clever. I mean, if you don't want to mess with the science portion of it, just like I don't really know how to explain it. It's just going to happen. Let's find out what happens if we do it again. The color palette in the 3D realm is very, very nice. I mean, it kind of almost gives me almost like an Animal Crossing feel. It's very vivid. There's a haunted forest that we went through that's really dark, deep purples and everything. I like that one too. Speaking of the haunted forest, it reminds me of the music in that place, and it's still, I mean, that it sounded like, if you've ever heard what is it, Tears of Blood or something, it's the main theme of Symphony of the Night from Castlevania, and it'd feel like that. It had the organs going on in it and things like that. So far the music has been pretty up there. I'd give like an 8 out of 10 easily, especially that track. I really enjoyed that one. I have no idea where I'm going. This is supposed to be some kind of cursed isle, and I'm not really. I mean, I can see there's something under here. There we go. Maybe he told me to do that and I wasn't paying attention. That was the level 2 ability that opened that for me, so it's like I said, it's not really too difficult to figure out these puzzles. There have been a couple that took me quite a bit, so if that's your thing, I mean, if puzzles and action RPGs is your thing, then this one is definitely worth a look, for sure. What did she say she wanted me to do? I don't even know. I wasn't paying attention. No, not that. Okay. I see the eyeball there. Can't break anything. Can I just make him punch it again? Let's try that. Punch it again. No? Well, shit. That didn't work. Really wish I could back up and see what she said. You know, there's always been an ability in most RPGs called recall, and you can just recall what someone said. That actually I've never wanted to use before, but now I can see why it could be handy. Can we jump up there? No. So in the 2D environments, in the platformer bits, you do get the ability to jump, and it's almost like a completely different game. It's the way they have blended the genres so seamlessly and giving a taste of each one so far, and I'm sure there's more to come. It's well done. I mean, I can't give these guys credit enough for the way they pulled that off. I've never seen a game be able to blend this many genres together and actually make it make sense. Maybe not so much as a story from a story perspective, but the way it just kind of flows it's wonderful. I'm really impressed. And I've enjoyed this quite a bit thus far, and I intend on completing it. What do you want me to do with this? Maybe just talk to it? Okay. The Stone of Time. Where could it be? I see a lot of rocks. Is it not supposed to be on this island yet? Because I don't see a Stone of Time. I remember what Guy said about Stone of Time. It's a big circular rock that was held by demon dudes, but does that mean that I have to go somewhere else to find it? Thus far, there hasn't been a whole lot of backtracking, but that very well may be the case this time. I might just be completely lost and not going the right way at all here, but for the sake of time, why don't we go to a previously visited area? If it'll let me back on the boat. It might not. It may not let me jump back on there at all, because I know the guy said that, are you ready to leave? Which usually signifies you're stuck here until you do whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. I will say in the 8-bit segments, it gets a little bit confusing as what you can and what you cannot walk through sometimes, because there's paths that lead to nowhere. Like, it just goes behind the trees for no reason. So that got a little bit irritating after a while. As well as there's a segment very shortly in the beginning, maybe an hour in, that it's a stealth segment. And at one point they give you a cardboard box, Metal Gear Solid style. That segment took me like 30 minutes to get through, and it was infuriating because they don't explain exactly how the sneak mechanics work. I couldn't figure out if it was how many steps I was taking before they could see me, or if I had to just move very slowly, because sometimes I could stand right in front of the guys and they wouldn't notice me. Other times I could be like 4 spaces away and it would trigger and they'd catch me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I did through there or what I was doing wrong. Eventually I made it through it, but thus far, that has been the worst part so far. That's been the part that I did not enjoy. Because even the puzzles that are giving me every now and then, I mean, they're pretty good brain teasers. I guess for your average brain teaser, I don't know. Some of them were fairly easy, but there's one that had to use pipes to make sure it went through every single part of the picture and made it from point A to point B. That took me 30 minutes to do. Like, that was ridiculous. There was 8 of them in total. You only had to do 6 to pass, and one of them I wasn't able to do. No, 2 of them. I didn't do 2 of them. Yeah, I skipped the second one because I was like, whatever. I want to get through this. I'm done. What is going on here? Alright. Got some people freaking out over nothing, apparently. The famed ninja squirrels never made it to the top. So there's ninja squirrels in this, and then there's 4 of them, and they're in the Ninja Turtle colors. They were pretty awesome. They were fairly difficult too to take on, but that was pretty cool. That was a Coliseum fight. I mean, there's been quite a few different locales at this point. I mean, not a ton of them, but at least I'd say 5 different places that are dungeon-esque, and only one that I haven't enjoyed so far. So that's not counting like the 2D portions of it and things like that. So things change up quite a bit pacing in a game is incredibly important to me now, more so than it ever has been now that I get older. Because if you're not keeping my attention, I've got a lot of other games to play, and I don't have a whole lot of time to play them. So if you don't grip me and keep me gripped, chances are I'm probably not going to finish it. I think that's an age thing more than anything, because I remember back in the day, I could sit down and play a mediocre JRPG for 15-20 hours. This one's not mediocre, and that's what surprises me the most. The first one was so focused on the gimmick that the whole game was about that gimmick. This one, the gimmick spices things up, but the game doesn't center around it. It happens, and they explain it in the story. And this one's way longer. Like, oh my god, 4 hours in, and still a whole lot of stuff being Plague of Locusts. I don't even know what you asked. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, ask advice from the other disciples. Alright, let me read this time. There's a test. To my question, choose the correct answer. The great disaster was the first omen of the world's annihilation. What will the second be? Flood. Alright. That's why we built the pyramid. Alright, so we're getting into like a religious aspect of this, some type of political undertone. I mean, for right now, this game is 33% off, and it will be for a couple more days, making it $13. But normally, for a $20 game, for a little $20 RPG, I've got 4 hours into it, and I'm still going. And to be so much different, it's worth every penny. That's my thing anymore. Is there are so many RPGs out there these days, turn-based, action-based, what have you, whatever. So many. It's oversaturated almost, especially with Steam now introducing the JRPGs almost every week. They have another one coming out, or the RPG makers that are being made. It's insane. Being able to stand out like this, that's the mark of a good game. And this one has a really good design to it, you know, especially with a lot of the puzzles. I feel I get frustrated, but it's my own fault. Most of the time, the game does an amazing job of teaching you how exactly to do things or how to progress. I mean, it's just good game design. It'll show you you walk into a room and you see like a thwomp thing smash into the ground. Okay, now you know, watch out, they're going to be in this room. You know, I mean, none of it really feels cheap, and I can't get enough of that game. So when I get cheap deaths, just piss me off anymore. There's no reason for it, and unless it's trying to be frustrating, then it succeeds. But unless it's trying to, there's no reason for that. You need to give something. You need to give some type of tell or something. Make it feel like it's my fault that I died, and I don't get frustrated except at my own skill. I'm not even talking to prophets. I'm just kind of guessing and getting these all right. Stone time kept at the very top of the pyramid. All right, so we did go the right way. This is the way we're supposed to go. Get that stone of time, and then we can go back to the beach. To become a disciple, you need to go to Windy Valley and then climb Mount Alpha. The top Mount Alpha, you'll have to spend an entire... Only them... Okay. So I guess we're climbing a mountain. Where is said mountain? I have no idea. Does this go down to the mountain? Is the mountain a different locale entirely? Well then. Surely this isn't Mount Alpha. No. Door's closed. I get that. Alright. Okay. Alright, whatever. Where's this mountain, guys? I gotta climb a mountain so I can show off more of this game. Maybe actually get some combat going. Enemy variety, which we haven't seen right now, because it's kind of at a slow part right now. But the enemy variety has been pretty good for compared to the last one. I mean, at least 15 different enemies. And 4 hours in, I don't think that's too bad. What just happened? I just went into a forest. Oh, okay, so this brings up a good point. So when we were in the 8-bit timeline, this was like a little mini game, like a little treasure hunt mini game. Now that we're in the future, there's nothing here, obviously. So there's a lot of different locales you'll go back and forth between in the different time lines, and it'll be completely different when you go in there. Again, going back to Legend of Zelda, like the Ocarina of Time portion, where looks like a mountain. The Ocarina of Time, where you would go to the 2 different locations in the 2 different time zones, is completely different. It's not quite that dramatic because I haven't done the same dungeon twice yet, but it's similar to that. I mean, Ocarina of Time is Ocarina of Time, but this does a really good job of repeating certain things and making it very subtle. Alright, this has got to be the right mountain. Hey, you guys, are you gonna let me in? Can we actually fight something? Is it dungeon time? Yes. Also an old rusted out doohickey in the corner. Looks like some winged machine. Okay, so at some point we're gonna be able to fly. That's cool. If you have not passed, you shall not pass. Oh, you're that new novice. I was told you. Okay, now get the hell out my way. Let me into the mountain. I got things to stab. Yeah. So, harkening back to the original, it did go through getting flying machines and things like that. Oh, okay. This is going to be one of the platforming side-scrolling aspects. Awesome. I've only done 2 of these so far, but these have probably been my favorite thus far. You have your sword here, but when you're in the normal realm, it doesn't have that shooting, that crescent blade thing. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. And you do use your partners here to break certain things, which apparently she's not the right one to do that. Let's try my big guy here real quick. Charge him up. And boom. There we go. Thank you, buddy. All right. Even it doesn't feel tacked on either. Like it's pretty solid platforming. Got little bouncing mushrooms. All right. This is what I mean about good game design. Okay, give me something that's not perilous, that'll show me exactly what I'm supposed to be doing before you thrust me into the situation. And I'm sure they're going to incorporate those mushrooms here later on. Oh, God, he takes a lot of hits. Okay. So there is a level up system as well. Every time you level up, you're going to get defense, attack, HP, or all 3, sometimes 2. There's really no way to change it. So it's a very, very basic leveling system. Simply just increasing stats, and you can grind those points out pretty much as long as you want, and overpowered if you really want to, which I feel like I'm kind of underpowered right now, but I bet you if it's anything like what I've experienced so far, by the time I reach the top of this mountain, I'm going to be much stronger, not much more stronger, and I'll be able to take them out no problem. There we go. I'm very curious to see some of the other elements, and that kills you in 1 hit. Good to know. Continue, goes back to the original save point. I do keep any gold or experience that I have earned. Thank you, designers, for putting the save point right next to that. I really appreciate that. There we go. I don't have to charge it all the way for them. There we go. Another save point. The save points are fairly common. I mean, I haven't found myself, if I've died, have to go too far back at all. But I kind of got sidetracked when I died there. Anyways, what I was saying before, from what I've seen so far, I'm really looking forward to the other aspects that have been displayed in the trailer, the fighting game aspects, the bullet hells, things like that. Because if the 2D portion is anything to go off of, oh God, then they're not going to be tacked on. They're going to feel like they belong there. Like the main fighting style, stupid ass bat, of the top-down perspective. I mean, it's not like mini-game status. It feels like it's supposed to be here, and I cannot praise them enough for that. It's a breath of fresh air to do things a little bit differently, to break that mold. And this game does that in spades. So if you're a fan of RPGs, you will most likely like the action portion of it. But if you're a fan of platformers, these are going to be your favorite parts. I don't know how fleshed out the other ones are going to be, But if this is still anything to go off of, then I bet the fighting game one is not going to be like the best fighting game that you've ever played, but it's going to be passable. If they introduce turn-based portions of it, I mean, that's what was always my favorite, was the turn-based JRPGs. Don't ask me why, and I still like them to this day. Maybe not so much anymore. But it really, I mean, it kind of depends on your taste. It feels like there's something here for everyone just kind of wrapped into one package. I really like this level, too. This is a very colorful level. Again, with the very, very impressive color palette. Not enough people take advantage of... Damn it. Good thing there's a save point right there before I died. Not enough games take advantage of a impressive color palette. You see a lot of the indie platformers do. They kind of use that visual style as their thing to stand out. But other than that, it's something that I feel is overlooked and should not be, because it just makes things feel... the choice of color and the choice of aesthetic can make a zone feel completely different. If they just went with like a blacked out look here, then it wouldn't be the same. Or just put like metal spikes instead of the crystals, you know, just little hints of things, little touches. Who are you? Is that Laura Croft? Sorry, that is Clara Loft. Gotcha. Sorry, Clara Loft. Yeah. Alright, Clara Loft. Thank you very much for that little tidbit. See, again, the little Easter eggs and things that they throw in here. I'm really enjoying it. This is got Magnet Man from Mega Man 2 written all over it. Speaking of which, at the part where the Coliseum is, you get to pick a name, like what your name is, and you don't want to give them your real one because you don't want to cause trouble. They give about 5 choices, and the demon guy in my party refers to me by that name, whichever one it was that I picked. Mine is Mega Clinker. I am Mega Clinker to him. I think there was like some pun off of Mario, and then a couple of others that don't quite stick out for me, but I picked Mega Clinker. So it's a very charming title that I think maybe has not got enough recognition, because I've enjoyed this so much, and I will continue playing it until I beat this one way or another. And that opinion may change. I mean, if the other bits do feel tacked on, I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed. But thus far, I've had enough enjoyment out of it that I think that $13 price tag is easily justified. And depending on how the rest of it turns out, even the $20 is not a bad asking price. I mean, it's obvious, at least thus far, that the developers really cared about this title, and it's not just like a cash grab. Because from what I can, again, I believe this is the second game they've ever made. I don't see any others, at least not on Steam, that they've been a part of. And if that's the case, then they are, damn it, then they are getting off on a really good start, because the game design alone takes a lot of devs years to, or even decades to get right. Ugh! That same fucking platform over and over again. And I know it can be done. It's just my fault that it can't be done. I don't feel like it's cheap. They could have really been dicks and put a spike platform underneath that. I think I have to land on that one, then jump to land on the one that's going to spawn next. Alright, I got this. There we go. And there's the second one. Yeah, they could have easily put a bed of spikes or lava down here, and every time you do this, you just die. That would have been infuriating, but they don't. You know, they were kind of nice. This game does have multiple difficulty modes. There's 3 at start, and I imagine there's a 4th one grayed out. So once you beat it, I bet you that one unlocks. And it's called Hard But Fair. This is normal. I have died in combat once or twice, not a whole lot. So if you want it to be a bit more challenging, I guess they'd probably just hit harder and take more hits to kill, which it may not be that. That's just what I'm guessing, but I don't like artificial inflation of difficulty like that. It kind of is boring to me. If you're going to make something difficult, make it different, not just larger numbers. I hope I'm not alone in that. I mean, it's kind of boring to hit the same thing 30 times versus 5 times. And again, this is actually a story-driven experience, so I don't think I will play it a second time. I think the first time is enough, but if you guys do want make sure you get your bang for your buck, son of a bitch, then you have the option to play through on a different difficulty and try this a second time, which to each their own. I mean, once I usually play through a game once, unless it's absolutely amazing and you're supposed to replay it for some reason or another, then I usually don't play them a second time. I almost made it that time. Other than, like, I don't know, maybe Castle Crashers. I've played that one through numerous times. But other than that, I don't play them very often, more than once. I have too many games for that. Alright, I'm going to give this one more try. See if I can get at the top of this platform. Because this is getting a little bit nonsensical. There we go. Nope. Alright, one more good try. Let's do this. This is the first platforming segment that I've actually not done very well on, funnily enough. And it's not the game's fault. It's I'm sucking, son of a bitch. Alright. I don't want to keep rambling on while I'm trying to beat this part. Come on. Come on. We can do this. We can do this. No, we can't. Alright. Thank you, Laura Croft, for your words of wisdom. But I'm going to tackle this after this video. Just a quick update here at the end here. I am continuing the Maximum Carnage Let's Play if you guys are watching that at all. If not, I'm going to do it anyways because I want to finish it. And other than that, I will see you guys next time on Steam Shuffle or on the Let's Play or wherever you see me. Take it easy.